13 years ago today, I was getting ready to go into neurosurgery to remove a larger than a golf ball brain tumor that was burrowing into my frontal temporal lobe. At this point in my life, I was 38 years old. I was the founder and CEO of a startup doing very well. $50 million in revenue with partners such as Panasonic Computer Solutions and AT&T. Seemingly, you'd think, at the top of my game, the top of the world. Also, unfortunately, though, I was year 4 into a very stressful, toxic lawsuit with an investor and partner that was trying to steal my company from me. Unfortunately, the experiences that came together to manifest a brain tumor made me realize that life was short. I had a limited time on this planet, and that I had to figure out everything that I could do to save myself and save my business, save my reputation. But as in all great heroes' journeys, that's exactly what needed to happen to me to break down in order to break through to higher states of consciousness and radical responsibility for the choices that I made and the life that I manifested. So here I am, getting ready to go into surgery. Now, what's really interesting about how I manifested this brain tumor, which is one of the main questions I get, well, how did you discover that you had a brain tumor? What happened? Well, frankly, I feel like a Disney World character with the series of events that happen are so incredible that I feel I can't make this up, that almost these things happen to me in order for me to be able to tell this story to you all. So I was celebrating my birthday a year and a half before going into surgery. I was fighting this lawsuit, doing what I could to take control of the situation and save myself. But I thought, hey, it'd be a great idea to throw a big fundraiser for my birthday for 1 laptop per child, let me make the best of the situation, and raise money for needy children. So I was in a dressing room in Miami, trying on all these really fun outfits, super excited about my birthday. And then my phone rang, and I saw it was my attorney. So I went to go pick it up, and I'm stuck in this really tight, cute dress. Hey, Michael, what's going on? Happy birthday, Samina. Gonna see you later, but I want to remind you, don't forget to sign those documents and bring them with you so that I could file them with the court on Monday. So I'm like, sure, Michael, thanks a lot. I hang up the phone. I'm still in the dress, trying to wiggle my way out of it. And all of a sudden, I have this just fit of rage. Here it is, my birthday. I'm a good person. I'm here to be of service in the way that I can at the intersection of my skill set and what I was passionate about. And here was this horrible man trying to steal my company from me. I'm running out of money. I'm stressed. I'm not sleeping. I'm not eating. It's my birthday. And I have to think about this horrible human being who's trying to take away everything from me because he was greedy and he wanted to make more money and he wanted to control me. So I go to pull out my arm from the dress and just yank it out. And I didn't see that behind me was this tall mirror. And as I pulled out my arm hit this mirror. The mirror toppled off the pedestal and clobbered me on the head. Now, my first thought as I'm getting smashed in the head and it falls on the ground, I'm thinking, oh my God, I hope it's not hitting my forehead so I don't look like a unicorn showing up at my birthday party with 200 people. So I'm looking down at the mirror. The mirror's not broken, but I touch my head and I feel a huge hematoma starting to form. And I look in the mirror, I'm thinking, oh God, thank God it's not here and it's behind my hairline. The owner of the boutique heard the crash and they were like, oh my God, Samina, are you okay? Great. Are you going to sue us? Like, no, I'm not going to sue you. It was my fault, clearly. I got to get the dresses. I got to go to my birthday party. 250 people are showing up at my friend's estate. I'm fine. Got to go. So I grab the dresses. I go to the party. The photos are on Facebook, April 2009. Had a wonderful time, raised a bunch of money. A year and a half later, I'm back in the grind, trying to save the company, trying to scale the company, fighting the lawsuit. And one morning I wake up and I felt a bump kind of like on my skull plate, and taking a shower. And I'm like, what is this? And all of a sudden in the shower, I have this download. Like, oh my God, it's a tumor. A voice in my head, download, look what you did to yourself. You've manifested a tumor. And there I am in the shower talking to myself going, no, it's not a tumor. Yes, it's a tumor. Look what you did to yourself. And I thought, oh my God. So I went to go check it out. What are the odds that it would be a tumor from getting hit on the head? Sure enough, it was that. What happened was when the mirror hit me on the head, because of not only the impact and what was going on with my genetics that I would subsequently find out, also the stress, my mindset, didn't know what biohacking was. I wasn't taking care of my sleep or nutrition. All of those things were a perfect storm to manifest a larger than a golf ball meningioma. Now, I'm a firm believer, and I'm sure many of you are as well, that disease is of our own creation. Circumstances happen, you make choices, and then disease manifests. I just happen to be a frequency match for a falling mirror. Now, if you look at the levels of consciousness here, I was at the bottom, ashamed that this was happening to me, feeling guilty that I had my employees relying upon me to save the company. I was scared that I was going to lose everything that I worked so hard for years at the age of 38 years old. I was angry. I was so angry, and I was so sad. When we are at this level of consciousness, what happens is, and this is what I believe to be true, is that reality organizes itself and gives you exactly the frequency that you are at. So I'm in this emotional, psychological state. I'm making these choices, and the emotions and the choices and the actions manifest into the situation. And so for me, it was this tumor. And for me, it was this disease. So at this point, even though I didn't know about biohacking, I was always very drawn to philosophy and spirituality and science and technology. And so I was reading all these different books, and so it was making sense to me intellectually. But only later, retrospectively, did I pull the pieces together from the spiritual aspect into the scientific aspect, and then the technology aspect, and then into psychedelics, which we'll get into next. Now, I believe that precision wellness is the most important thing that we can do as a species right now in order to level ourselves up. If we take care of this hardware, the sacred meat suit, what will happen is our emotions, our psychology, our cognition, our temperaments will also improve. When we raise our levels of consciousness, our conscientiousness also improves. So what does precision wellness look like? Because when people ask me, hey, Samina, oh my God, you're biologically 21 years old and you're chronologically 51 years old. How did you achieve that? Well, over the years, after I survived, I read clinical studies and took a look at the results, and I was onboarding everything that I could. But only a few years ago did it become commercially available in order for me to be able to test what was happening with me at the intersection of the choices that I was making, body, mind, and spirit. And so I discovered, after testing my DNA, and most people don't realize this, that all of us have many genetic mutations, also known as variants. Some are great, and some are not so good. And so when we think about precision wellness, you get your biomarkers tested, your blood, your hormones, right? All these things that we test, but very few people actually have tested their genetics through the lens of health and wellness. Can I please see a raise of hands out of all of you here who have had your genetics tested to look at health conditions? All right. So you may wonder, why is it good to do that? Like, what's the big deal? You test your blood, you test your hormones, or you tested these other things. But actually, there's some things that are not detectable by blood or by your hormones or any of this. So for me, I discovered I was one of the unlucky ones in this way that had a genetic mutation that prevented my cells from being able to absorb vitamin D. So what that means is that you could test my blood, but I'd have normal vitamin D levels. But because of the specific genetic variant, my cells could not absorb it. So I needed to be taking 200 times the amount of vitamin D in order to just be at baseline. So because of the vitamin D deficiency that I had, it caused bone issues. So when I got hit in the head, instead of my skull fracture healing properly, it caused a venous-based blood clot tumor that basically turned into a meningioma, number one. And number two, because of this vitamin D issue that you could only test if you tested your genetics, I had thyroid issues, I had skin issues, I had all these other issues that I thought, gosh, it's just because I'm stressed, right? Because I'm about to lose my company, but it was because of this. So super important, guys, all of you, please test your genetics as soon as possible, because the intersection of your genetics, your variants at the intersection of your blood biomarkers, and then creating customized nutrition and supplementation protocols will allow you truly to achieve your fullest biological potential. Now, a fun part of testing your genetics is there's some things that we have, like superhuman genes that I didn't know that I had, except I did know that I was related to this incredible human being, Samina Rind the Great, from Pakistan, from the unconquered region of Balochistan. He is my great-great-grandfather. So he was legendary for things like the size of a sword that were apparently bigger than me. Men and their exaggerations, of course. What I also, though, discovered is that I had a genetic mutation that only 18% of the world's population has, which is the gene for endurance. So, endurance. So hindsight being 2020, I persevered, and it took me 7 years of a marathon to win that lawsuit. But I won 7 years for that marathon. Super proud of that. Genes help me, for sure, in that regard. 14 generations later, here I am, related to that incredible madman. So, 2 tests you can take here today. 1, to test your biological age, because unless you test your foundation, you won't know whether or not the supplements you're taking, the nutrition you're taking, the detoxing you're doing, the meditating you're doing, all the things you're doing, whether or not they're working, right? So Glycan Age has a booth here. This is how I discovered that I had aged backwards by 30 some odd years. This is the reason why I'm standing here speaking to you all, because I was very happy being a behind-the-scenes fairy godmother investor, helping founders achieve their dreams. But when I discovered this delta, everybody said, you have to tell your story. So this is why I'm here today. So get your test with Glycan Age, take it every 3 to 6 months, and this will allow you to know whether or not it's working. Other tests that I recommend, company is called Omnos. You can test your genetics, you can test your hormones, you can test your microbiome, you can test toxins, you can test your micronutrients, everything you need to know in order to further customize your lifestyle choices and nutrition for your unique needs. Please do not be a vegan or a carnivore or start doing all these diets and taking supplements without testing, and then take your protocols and then retest. This is the way that we can reach our fullest potential. Now, psychedelics is the cherry on the cake for me. After I went through surgery, I wanted to really try to defrag my mind and my psyche and my soul to have a deeper look at what was going on with me psychologically. So I took a very large hero's dose with a psychotherapist, and that changed my life. Because it's wonderful for me to be standing here and lecturing you about what you should do. But good luck with trying to implement all these changes, right? Change is hard. No, people are here to take supplements on one end, but they can't stop smoking. Why can't they stop smoking? Because our neural network ends up getting frozen. So what you see on the left here is our brain on a placebo. On the right is our brain network cross-talking in ways that it never does, can never do this. But with psychedelics, it can. It's like opening up trapdoors in your neural network would then give you insights into blind spots, into suppressed traumas, into genetic memories. Take psychedelics with a therapist and a coach. The psychedelics are about 20%. The 80% is the work that you do with it, the books that you read, the therapy that you take, executive coaching, relationship coaching, all these things, learning a new language, learning to be more creative. It will help you reach your fullest potential and goals. And it's not just about trauma, it's about reaching your fullest potential. And you can't do that if your neurochemistry and then your brain is locked in. This will give you the neuroplasticity you need in order to create room and insights to absorb new information and make durable changes. Now, this is how it feels to be 51 years old and dealing with this super cool, exciting, but very awkward, weird thing of being 21 years old biologically. Like as if life isn't complicated enough as it is. Imagine dating. Do I date the 25-year-old, high potential founder that's precocious with endless neuroplasticity? Or do I date somebody my age, like, a master of the universe, 55-year-old venture capitalist, but he's emotionally and neurochemically calcified? Choices. Super awkward choices. So be prepared when you age backwards. This too will happen to you. So with this, I want to close and thank you very much for listening to my story. My call to action and invitation to you is to take radical responsibility because we need this now more than ever. People are dying. There are wars happening. The planet is burning. The way to save our species and heal our planet is by healing ourselves. The only way to do that as quickly as possible, because we need all hands on deck right now, is to embrace the technology, apply it to yourself at the intersection of precision wellness and psychedelics, and then you too can also age backwards. And when you achieve being a hot 51-year-old too, that will be a bonus. Thank you.